March 14, 2003 began like any other warm Friday in Chandler, Arizona, a fast-growing suburb southeast of Phoenix, where new homes rose out of the Sonoran Desert and strip malls seemed to multiply at every intersection. The afternoon sun blazed overhead, turning the asphalt of Chandler High's parking lot into a shimmering heat mirror. 17-year-old Bailey Hoffman crossed the lot with her usual Friday rhythm. She tossed her backpack into the passenger seat of her 1998 Honda Civic, the faded denim she loved and her turquoise tank top catching the last rays of daylight. Her dark blonde ponytail swung behind her as she moved. From a few spaces away, her best friend Melissa Torres watched Bailey pull out at exactly 3:47 p.m., music thundering from the open windows. Bailey gave one carefree wave. Melissa waved back. Neither girl understood it was the last time they would ever see each other at 6 p.m. Worry was already tightening around the Hoffman household. Bailey was supposed to be home by 4:30. Dinner sat cooling on the table. Her phone rang and rang before flipping to voicemail. This wasn't Bailey. She wasn't the type to disappear. If she was running late, even by 10 minutes, she always sent a text or called by 7 p.m. Karen Hoffman was pacing the kitchen, dialing every friend's number she knew by heart. No one had heard from Bailey. No one had seen her since school. Meanwhile, Bailey's father, David, drove the route between campus and home twice. Eyes darting toward ditches, street shoulders, and parking lots. Nothing. 8:16 p.m. Chandler police responded to a call from the manager of a Fry's Food and Drug on Dobson Road. A silver Honda Civic had been sitting in the far corner of the lot for hours. Engine off. Driver's door slightly cracked open. Inside, everything was exactly where Bailey left it. Her purse sat upright in the passenger seat, wallet still inside. $23 in cash. Backpack was stuffed with textbooks and a half-finished chemistry assignment. Her cell phone lay on the floorboard, battery full. No missed calls, except for the 17 left by her parents. But Bailey was nowhere. Fry's wasn't part of the family's routine. It wasn't even on her route home. Melissa confirmed Bailey had planned to head straight home to change before going to the mall later that night, so why was her car here? Why was the door open? And why, when Officer Jason Murphy leaned in with his flashlight, was there a single dry drop of blood on the driver's seat? Small, dark, no bigger than a dime. If you've ever felt that sickening knot in your stomach when something is terribly wrong, even before you know exactly what, hit subscribe now, because this story is only beginning, and the truth hiding beneath it is darker than Chandler ever imagined. The Chandler Police Department launched their missing person investigation before dawn. The next 48 hours were chaos. Karen couldn't stop crying. David spent the night printing 500 missing person flyers with Bailey's junior year photo, her bright smile now suddenly haunting. He stapled them to every pole and bulletin board within 10 miles. By Saturday morning, the local news had already picked up the story. Tips flooded in. Someone insisted they'd seen her at a Mesa gas station. Another caller was certain she was hitchhiking along I-10. All dead ends. Detective Linda Ritchie caught the case on Saturday afternoon. A 12-year veteran with sharp instincts and a reputation for never backing off a lead, Ritchie stood in the brutal Arizona heat at the empty parking space where Bailey's car had been towed. That familiar prickle of dread crawled up her spine. The one she'd learned to trust. Teenage girls don't simply disappear. Not without their phones. Not without their purses. And certainly not with blood left behind. The first 72 hours matter more than anything. After that, the chances of finding someone alive drop sharply. Ritchie knew it. The Hoffmans knew it. And the clock was already ticking too fast. By Sunday night, hundreds of volunteers were scouring the scrubland east of town. They pushed through thorny brush, checked washouts and desert gullies carved by flash floods. Helicopters swept overhead, thermal cameras searching for any trace of warmth. Bloodhounds sniffed the aisles of the grocery store, but the scent died the moment they reached the edge of the lot. It was as if Bailey stepped out of her car and vanished into thin desert air. The lab results arrived on Monday. The blood was Bailey's, type O positive. The amount was small, consistent with a minor cut or puncture. Nothing fatal, but proof something happened inside that Civic. Richie turned back to the grocery store for answers. The manager confirmed there were security cameras, but the system was outdated. Tapes were overwritten every 72 hours. By the time anyone asked, Friday's footage was already gone, replaced by Saturday and Sunday's uneventful shoppers. There were witnesses. A teenage stock boy named Aaron Hamilton remembered seeing a silver car in the corner space that afternoon. He didn't recall a driver. Didn't notice anything unusual. A cashier, Patricia Lemoyne, vaguely remembered some kind of commotion in the parking lot. Maybe raised voices. But the after-school rush was so busy that she never looked up. When Richie questioned her, Patricia seemed uneasy, like she was withholding something. But she insisted she saw nothing helpful. Richie planned to circle back. She never got the chance. Tuesday morning, the investigation shifted direction. Detective Richie and her partner, Jean Fitzgerald, visited the Hoffmans' home. They sat together in a living room filled with framed photos. Bailey at age 6, missing teeth. Bailey at 13 with braces. Bailey at 17, glowing. Then came the question every parent dreads in cases like this. Did Bailey have a boyfriend? Anyone she had conflict with? Someone who might have been upset with her? Karen's face drained of color. Yes. There was someone. Trevor Gallagher, 19. A former Chandler High dropout known for hanging around the parking lot selling weed to younger students. He and Bailey had dated for 4 months the previous fall. And that was when the entire case took its first dark turn. What had started as a teenage relationship ended in the worst possible way. When Bailey finally cut Trevor off, the messages began, hundreds of them. Angry texts, obsessed ramblings, words that made Karen Hoffman physically sick the day she scrolled through her daughter's phone. You think you're better than me. You're nothing without me. I know where you are. I'm always watching. It was enough for Karen to insist on a restraining order. The paperwork was filed on February 20th, 2003, less than a month before Bailey vanished. The court ordered Trevor Gallagher to stay 300 feet away from Bailey, the school, and the Hoffman home. But restraining orders are only ink on paper. They don't stop someone set on ignoring them. And according to nearly everyone Detective Richie interviewed, Trevor's obsession with Bailey hadn't faded. It had intensified. Within 24 hours of Bailey being reported missing, Trevor was sitting in a stark interrogation room at the Chandler Police Department. He was thin, jittery, shadows carved under his eyes, a scorpion tattoo curling up his neck. Trevor denied everything. He claimed he hadn't seen Bailey in weeks, that he was home Friday afternoon playing video games. His mother confirmed that story. But mothers lie for their sons. Richie had seen it too many times to count. She pressed him harder. Where were you really, Trevor? Why won't you take a polygraph? What did you do to her? But Trevor lawyered up. The interview died. And without a body, without physical evidence, without anything concrete, Richie had no choice but to let him walk. Trevor strolled out of the station a free man. Richie watched him leave, a sinking feeling curling in her gut as if the case were slipping through her fingers like dry desert sand. The weeks after Bailey Hoffman's disappearance blurred into a nightmare that refused to end. April came. Then May. The Arizona heat soared past triple digits, and the missing posters plastered across the city began to fade under the relentless sun. Bailey's once bright smile bleaching into a ghostly silhouette on every telephone pole and storefront window. The Hoffmans appeared on local news. Then regional. Then a national morning show that Karen's eyes looked hollow, rimmed red from sleepless nights. David's voice cracked on camera as he begged. Someone knows something. Someone saw something. Please, please bring our daughter home. But no one stepped forward. Not with anything useful. Not with anything that mattered. Detective Richie refused to give up. She built a meticulous timeline of Bailey's final day, interviewing students who'd seen her at school, teachers who'd spoken with her, friends who'd walked the halls beside her. Everything about Bailey on that Friday felt painfully normal. She'd laughed with friends. turned in her English essay on the Great Gatsby, complained about an upcoming calculus test, made weekend movie plans. There were no signs she was planning to run. No secret relationship. No hidden turmoil. Bailey Hoffman was a good kid from a good home, and that only made her disappearance more terrifying. Richie circled back to Trevor again and again. She pulled his phone records, nothing. Searched his mother's house, found drugs, a stolen stereo, but nothing tying him to Bailey. She interviewed his friends, his dealers, anyone who might slip. His alibi was flimsy, almost laughably so, but it held. His mother insisted he never left the house, and no one could prove otherwise. The frustration ate at Richie. She had worked dozens of missing persons cases, but this one,